Albert thing. Kids these days don't know who Fat Albert is. That's a shame. And I suspect all the ways that you would say who they are would probably not work. Cosby Show and Jello commercials. Yeah. Oh well. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Tuesday, November 19th, 2019. My name's Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. I just ground that like a minute ago, 2 minutes ago. That's an exaggeration. I just ground this a few minutes ago, which is why I was like a minute late coming on. I really try to be on time. I do. It's important. Being on time is important. Ooh. I wanted to take a nap yesterday. I did not. Maybe I will take a nap today. Is that wrong that I've been out of bed for not even 30 minutes? I'm considering when I'm going to take a nap. I don't think so. Maybe. Who knows? I have to shave. I definitely have to do that. Shave, maybe take a nap. No, this is not my agenda for the day. Although shaving is on the agenda. That's good. Well, I don't know about your Monday, but my Monday was pretty good. I didn't do a lot. Because the work that I did on Sunday meant Monday was a lighter day, and there just wasn't a lot that came in. Ooh. So I sent off the modified dimensions for the pants to the factory. For those of you that don't know, our luminary, our karate style gi uniform. I really like the top. I don't like the pants. There's some things that are off with the pants, and we're trying to fix them. So I did a bunch of measurements and research, and have our next batch of samples. We'll see what happens. We're gonna run with it. So I sent those over. We'll get those back. Those will not be ready for holiday shopping. No, those aren't gonna be ready for holiday shopping. But that's okay. Slow and steady, right? We are the turtle. Oh, we're the turtle of martial arts. No. Although it's funny that I have that accidental statement. Gabe's asked if there are any changes to the top. No, in version 1, which was only in white, there were some things that I didn't like, and we've changed those. Version 2, the top, the feedback overwhelmingly was about the pants. So if you've got stuff you want to change on the top, shoot me an email, and we can discuss it. But because I'm always looking, how do we make things better, right? Always down to make things better. There's never going to be one uniform that's perfect for everyone. Everyone's looking for something different, and everyone's shaped differently. What I like about this style uniform is it's good for average to thinner people in its design, and then the Taekwondo uniform we're doing, just the very nature of it, it works better for average to larger people because it's a pullover uniform, so pullover top. I watched an episode of The Toys That Made Us yesterday or Sunday, I don't remember when, on Ninja Turtles and the history and just so much fun. It's interesting because it's such an important part of modern martial arts culture and heritage, and yet the people who created it had nothing to do with martial arts, and that just blows my mind. At some point, somewhere along the way, by the time it made it, because I never read it in the old comics, but by the time it made it into a animated series, it just, there was something there. There was something really authentic. Yeah, I think we all resonated with. And some of it was Splinter's personality, and how, you know, in one sense he was very much a, he's clearly modeled off old kung fu movie masters. But there was an element to him that was also paternal, and just somehow that combination. And that very much reminds me of the way many, if not most, martial arts instructors who work with children act. 95% of the time, they're, the instructor, and they're larger than life with this big personality, and the kids look up to them. But then sometimes they get down on their level, and it's the compassion is the first. I think it's the first layer as opposed to the training. And I don't know, there was magic there. And you can't deny it, because Ninja Turtles is still a thing 35 years later. So, what else happened yesterday? We set our discounts and timeline and everything for holiday shopping, for all that stuff. I finalized our ugly Christmas sweatshirt. It's up, but you can't buy it yet. We're waiting to release all the holiday stuff at once, which I'm not sure when that's going to be. It'll be soon. It might be. What's today? 19th. It might be next week. It's probably going to be next week, in conjunction with the newsletter. That's going to mean rewriting the newsletter. At least a bit of it. Or adding a block. It's okay. So if you're not on the newsletter list, get on the newsletter list. All right. What's today? Got an interview. Bunch of work. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to answer some questions. Remember, if you want to ask me a question, drop it below, and I'll answer. Where do you get all of your healthy food recipes from? Well, I don't follow recipes very often. A lot of the things that I eat are modifications that I've been playing with for years. For example, pancakes. I've got about 4 different ways I can make pancakes. I can get the stuff out of the box, make them that way. I can make them with egg and pumpkin. A couple other ways. Usually it's like the old school way, with flour or Bisquick, or the grain. The gluten grain-free way, which is pumpkin and egg. But what'll happen is I'll just get in this mood where I want to make something, but I want to make it a different way. Now, sometimes I'll just experiment. Most of my cooking now, I don't use a recipe. Because once you've made something enough and you start to understand how it goes together, you just play. Which, interestingly, that's why I don't do well with baking. Because I find it very constricting to put the exact amount of certain things in at the same time and in a certain order. It just doesn't work well for me. I can bake. I periodically do. But it's just not something that I do often. So where do these recipes come from? Google, if I am going to make something. I went through a kick a few years ago with coconut flour, and I've got a number of recipes that I printed out. And the nice thing about printing out a recipe on paper is that you can make notes. And so I go back, and when I do it the second, third, 12th time, I've made adjustments to that recipe based on what I want and what I'm doing. Maybe I find that it needs, an extra minute or one less minute of something, and I just go from there. Most of the meals I make are in a frying pan on the stove. It's follows one of two kind of core, we'll call them recipes. It's eggs with vegetables plus other things for breakfast, whether that be a scramble or an omelet or a frittata or breakfast sandwiches. For dinner, it's vegetables plus eggs and or fish, rice, and it's some kind of, like fried rice, Asian style food. But it's not always that. It's not always healthy. I'm on a kick right now. So I think I talked about that I discovered that vegetable oils, I don't do well with foods that have vegetable oil in them. And so that meant I wasn't eating nachos because tortilla chips are fried. Well, I discovered that the grocery store has big packs of soft corn tortillas. It's like a huge stack like this for $4. And I just take a pizza cutter and slice them up and throw them on a cookie sheet with nothing and just bake them, what is that, 350 for 12 minutes. And now I get nachos again. Super exciting. But when I make nachos, I can make nachos in a couple different ways. They can be, some chips with a ton of vegetables and a little bit of cheese to hold it together, which is fairly healthy, or the way I made them the other day, I invented nacho lasagna. I used a bread pan and layered, and by the time I was done, had used probably up close to a pound of cheese. Yeah, I ate it all. It was really good. I was really hungry. So, have I ever done a cleanse? Yeah, I've done a number of things like that. I've fasted. I cycle through with how I eat, to be honest, and I'm at a point now where I mostly listen to how my body feels. I'm not going to eat that way and then eat that way, the next few nights. Most of the time, the way I eat at home is pretty healthy. And that way, if I go out with friends or, I'm out for a work thing, I can be a little less restrictive. I'm still aware of what I'm eating and how much and why. That's probably the one that gets me the most, why I'm eating. I am an emotional eater. But I try to balance it out. And I think the number one thing is it's not the scale, it's not how your clothes fit, it's how do you feel. If you eat a meal and you feel bleh, you ate too much or the food is not what you should have eaten. If you eat a big meal or you eat a meal and you feel like maybe you could have eaten more, but you didn't need to, and you feel good, and a couple hours later you don't feel like you have to crash, pass out, it's probably good food and a good amount. Just being aware. What do you think of the keto diet fad? Well, keto's interesting in that I'd say 95% of what people are calling keto is not keto. The ketogenic diet is an incredibly restrictive amount of carbohydrate, whereby if you are eating anything that has carbs, or, let's see, the only way you are keto and not tracking what you eat is if you were eating zero carbs. No lettuce, no greens, no nothing. Because the amount of carbohydrate that you can have over a course of a day and be ketogenic is incredibly small. I did it for a very short period of time, and I felt good. But as someone who does not eat poultry or beef or pork, it was very boring. Most fish doesn't have enough fat. You know, so my version of keto was really boring. But I'm glad I tried it. I think whether it's real keto or not, if you feel good doing it, do it. If you're, here's the thing. The universe is in balance. Nature is in balance. Our body is in balance. So if you try to crash diet via keto or anything else to lose a bunch of weight, it's not going to work out long term. It's about setting up habits. It's about slow and steady and doing things that are healthy and sustainable. I mean, that's our martial arts practice, right? You don't come in and crash class to get your black belt in, a week. It doesn't work that way. There are things that have to happen over time that you can't force. And if you look down, you look at your body and, if there's something that you want to change, think of how long it took to get your body to that point. You're not going to undo that in a short period of time. It just doesn't work. I go to the gym and I see people on, the elliptical or the treadmill, and they're punishing themselves. I don't want to have a body that requires punishment to maintain. I don't. So let me take a small twist on this question. Should people be doing keto? People should just stop eating so much crap food. If you focus on that, it all works out. If you make one change per week, and maybe that change is, hey, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to have a big glass of water before I do anything else. Or once a day, I'm going to have a cup of any vegetable. If you focus on that stuff, adding in good things, making one small change per week, it all falls in place. You make big changes all at once, it's too much. It's not sustainable. So whether that's keto or vegetarian or vegan or pescatarian or natural or carnivore or whatever. Doesn't matter. In a previous episode, you mentioned not eating any carbs for a few days if you experience a head injury. Yes. For someone with a sensitive digestive system, what would you recommend for fiber during those few days? So this goes back and falls under the heading of, I'm not a doctor, so you may want to consult with a doctor, or you may want to do some research on your own. But bottom line, the ketogenic diet, true ketogenesis, has been found to assist with repairing brain damage. And from the bit of research that I've done, if you've taken a headshot and, not super severe, but, you're fairly certain you have a minor concussion, the more restrictive you can be on carbohydrates, the less extensive the permanent damage will be. So the question is, in that circumstance, what should you be doing for fiber? And I'm going to suggest that you should not be concerned about fiber, because while you might have, you got to prioritize, right? It might mess with your gut. You might have some discomfort. It's not worth it. If there's it's only for a few days, right? Whatever's going to happen down below, you can live with it for a few days if it means you're keeping this healthier. Is fiber better than, say, sugar? Yes, absolutely. You might want to do some research on the way the body processes fiber versus simple carbohydrates like sugar. But just it's as little as possible, right? You're trying to get as little carb as possible. You're trying to stay as close to fat as possible. It's not going to put you in ketogenesis because that takes time, or ketosis, sorry. It's not going to put you in ketosis because that takes some time. But not feeding your body extra glucose, extra sugar during that process has been shown to be beneficial based on the limited research I have done as a non-medical professional. There. Apparently there's a plow going by. We must have had some snow. So, now if you want to learn more about this stuff, there's a ton of resource out there. And the reason that I pick up a lot of this information is because I read information about bodybuilding and strength training. As martial artists, we are so traditional in our approach to training that we are avoiding a lot of new information and a lot of beneficial things that will make what we do better. There are some things coming to bring some of this information and some of this training to martial artists that I'm excited about. And if you aren't checking out 2-Minute Martial Arts, training.whistlekick.com, there's 2-Minute Martial Arts there, and this was our first foray, and people are liking it. So we're looking at expanding those offerings. You can also follow 2-Minute Martial Arts on Facebook and Instagram. I think it's under the heading of Whistlekick Training, but you'll find it. So, good questions today. I like discussing this stuff if you can't tell. So, I'm going to give you homework in just a moment. Don't forget, this show comes at you live every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern here on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get this and all of our other awesome free content. If you want to ask a question, drop it below. I'll answer it tomorrow. And if you're not able to watch live, watch later. Or if it's easier, listen in audio form via any podcast app that you can get your hands on. Now, here's your homework. I want you to pick one thing. What's one thing, not that you're going to take away, well, we'll give you the choice. What's one thing that you're going to stop doing with your diet, or one thing you're going to start? And here's the trick. The smaller it is, the better. I know that sounds silly. It sounds like it doesn't have an impact, but here's the thing. When you make a small change, it's easier to maintain. And then you realize, hey, this is making my life better. I feel better. This is healthier. This is whatever. And it inspires you to make more changes. When you try to make a big change, it's stressful, it's difficult, and it's more likely to not work, which in the end makes you feel bad. Don't set yourself up to feel bad. Start with small changes. My favorite one that I offer to people, when you wake up in the morning, have a big glass of water. I don't drink just straight water. I put a little bit of salt in it. I find that my stomach's happier with that. If I just have plain water in the morning, my stomach gets a little upset, interestingly, but the salt makes a difference. So you can try that. You can try anything else. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you back here tomorrow.